Hello and welcome to another monthly devlog for Trinity 64, an action-adventure monster tamer inspired by Ocarina of Time and Elden Ring. This month was all about the collectible creatures and companions of Trinity 64, but it was also a month of new game dev discoveries that have taught me very massive lessons, and I'll talk about those at the end. And if after watching this video Trinity 64 looks interesting to you, consider wishlisting it on Steam, as it just passed the 1,000 mark, which is honestly insane to me, so thank you to anyone who has. So you may or may not have seen the 3 elemental sprites that I revealed not too long ago. They're meant to pay homage to starter Pokemon, as Pokemon is obviously a big influence to this game. But even though they are inspired by Pokemon, they honestly have very little in common with them at all. See, in Trinity, Guardians don't evolve, they don't have types, and they're honestly not much of friends either. So before showing off the elemental sprites and attacks so far, let me break down Guardians and explain how they're different to Pokemon. First, they don't have evolutions, but Guardians are categorized under ranks, and there are 3 ranks. Rank 1 Guardians are smaller and weaker, but use their numbers as their advantage as you're allowed to have up to 3 fighting with you. Rank 2 Guardians are a little more powerful, but have to fight alone, or alongside a Rank 1 Guardian. This allows them to gain benefits from some possible synergies. And Rank 3 Guardians are powerful and imposing, but they must fight alone. Now ideally the way that these creatures would be balanced is that 3 rank 1 sprites should be able to have a 50% chance against a rank 2 and 1 or a rank 3 of the same level. This system is pretty similar to something like Echoes from Echoes of Wisdom, except you aren't able to spam them since if one dies you'll have to revive it. This system also allows for every Guardian to be a viable choice, unlike in Pokemon, because why would you ever choose to use the Torchic when you could evolve it into Blaziken? The main drawback to not having evolutions is simply the fact that evolutions are usually really cool. They make the time spent with your creature feel impactful as they transform the more you put into them. And while I will lose that, it allows me to have some more variety of the creatures as a trade-off. Another thing is that Guardians won't have types, and there are 3 reasons. I will simply have less Guardians than Pokemon. Since I'm solo and Guardians are functionally a lot more unique, that means I'll produce less of them, and that makes typings feel like a blockade to work around rather than something fun to design around. 2. All Guardians have unique kits and playstyles, and that is what defines their strengths and weaknesses. It's a lot like champions in League of Legends. Some champions have an advantage based on the itemization and matchup because of their kits or playstyle. And as I'll explain in a bit, Guardians are designed in very much the same way. So throwing in any sort of type advantage or disadvantage could make things a lot more difficult to balance. And 3, it will allow me to not follow the trope of having elemental categorization, which means I can design however I want to fit the setting and themes I'm going for. Another reason they'll feel different than Pokemon is the fact that I don't plan on designing them like Pokemon. And if you want more of a breakdown of why, you can check out this video on my art channel. And that explains the design philosophy for the Guardians that I'll be releasing alongside this video. Don't worry, this will be the only time I split up the devlogs like this, as this month I specifically dedicated a lot of time to the art of this project. And I feel like I have a lot to say about the art direction specifically, and I felt like it warranted its own separate video. Since I said the Guardians are similar to champions from League of Legends, I'll explain how, and break down some of their stats and what they're going to be capable of doing. For combat, Guardians have 4 things that define their kits. A passive, something that is always active or enables the rest of their abilities, and usually defines their kit. A basic attack, very similar to a basic attack from League. It's the Guardian's consistent source of damage, but it's usually very low because of that. Melee Guardians will usually have a short range AoE one, and the range ones will have a projectile one. Basic attacks will be able to be blocked, parried, or deflected, but those interactions have yet to be implemented fully. They do, however, generate the Guardian's resource in Essence. Essence is how the Guardians use their other attacks, and it's generated every time an instance of damage is dealt. Then they have a special attack. This is the equivalent to the abilities of League champions, except they will have just 1 instead of 3. This ensures that I don't make anything overly complex to keep the scope in check, but also forces me to be creative. Special attacks are a lot more powerful than basic attacks and usually have other effects or properties as well. They can really be anything. Once a Guardian reaches 100 Essence, it will use its special attack. Also, every 100 Essence, it will gain an ultimate charge, which leads us to the last attack and the most powerful, the ultimate attack. After gaining 3 ultimate charges, the Guardian will use its ult attack. This attack is usually very powerful, provides heavy utility, or heavily supports the rest of the kit. It's an ultimate attack because it is usually too powerful to be activated in very quick succession. Similar to League of Legends, this is usually something you have to play around or anticipate. Combining all of these, you get the basic structure of a Guardian's blueprint. and I mean literally. Philip here is the parent of all the Guardians, so when I want to add something to them that they will all utilize, I add it to him. And then I just simply call it in their blueprints or change the variables to fit them. Their attacks, however, are what I changed specifically, and honestly that's been the most fun part this month. Before I show off what I worked on so far, please understand that everything is work in progress. And I didn't get to everything I had hoped for, despite me probably working on this game the most I have since I started. Everything is subject to change, and game development isn't something that is polished or refined until the end. I'm just focused primarily on functionality. So let's go over these unique kits, starting with the Blossom Sprite. The Blossom Sprite's passive is Touch of Bloom. All of the Blossom Sprite's attacks will heal itself and allies on hit based on its maximum health. This means that leveling up its health could be very beneficial. Its basic attack is called Floral Slash, and it strikes in a small AoE around itself. Combining this with its passive, it's able to strike multiple targets, which heals even more. Its special attack is called Burst Blossom. After a delay, the Blossom Sprite will deal damage in a large area around itself. It will also be healed, and if any allies are inside, they will also be healed as well. Finally, its ultimate attack, the Great Garden. The Blossom Sprite will launch multiple seed pods into the air. If they touch allies, they will be given a speed boost, but if enemies touch them, they will be damaged and slowed. After a delay, if not picked up, the seed pods will bloom, increasing their effects. Combining these abilities together, and the Blossom Sprite has the potential to have a lot of utility. Next we have the Ignited Sprite. Its passive is called Cinder Crystal. All attacks have a chance to apply Sear. Sear is an ailment that increases the damage taken from all sources to the afflicted target. Its basic attack is called Fireball, and it's a medium-range small projectile that is quite useful since it can inflict sear. Its special attack is called Scorched Earth. When triggered, the Ignited Sprite will launch a large projectile that explodes on impact. Wherever it explodes, it leaves an area on the ground that deals damage over time. The ground damage even has a chance to trigger its passive. Lastly, its ultimate, Beyond Embers. This attack fires a large projectile at high speeds. It can't be blocked or deflected, and passes through all enemies hit. The attack deals high damage, but its damage is greatly increased if the target is seared. As you can tell, the Ignited Sprite is meant to deal a high amount of damage, but lacks the utility, and is supposed to be quite the opposite of the Blossom Sprite. Finally, we have the Flooded Sprite. Its passive is quite unique. It's called Flow of Serenity. The Flooded Sprite does not utilize Essence. Instead, its attacks cycle through a sequence, with some of them having different properties. Its attacks also start off with low range, speed, and damage, and with every attack, those values are increased. Upon using its ultimate, this sequence is reset. Its basic attack is called Water Orb, and it's a small projectile. After each third basic attack, the attack is enhanced and is larger and deals AoE damage at the impact location. Its special attack is called Orb of Restraint. It fires a large projectile that deals high damage in an AoE at impact location. It also slows the move speed of all targets hit. Lastly, its ultimate, Orb of Liberation. After a delay, the Flooded Sprite fires off a large tidal wave in a line. This wave collides with all enemies hit until it fades. Enemies struck are knocked into the air and slowed. The Flooded Sprite uses 20 attacks before resetting its passive. It's meant to have a consistent flow of attacks that are predictable but also need to ramp up over time to be effective. It is somewhere in the middle of the Blossomed and Ignited Sprite with its utility and damage. Like I said before, all of these guys are still works in progress, and I hope you can understand that's why I'm doing monthly devlogs, so that I can show this process in the rough. Even the UI at the moment is just for testing, so I know it seems like a lot of information, but please trust me that I don't expect all of this to be shown in the game at once. Now I'll talk a little bit about random things for each one and what I haven't implemented yet. For the Blossom Sprite, I really love the special attack casting rune, but also the AoE effect. Both of these were drawn on my iPad. I didn't implement the bonus effect after the pod is bloomed as well as some bug fixes with its healing. I do, however, love the fact that the seed pods almost have as many bones as it. For the Ignited Sprite, I think I really love most of the effects on it. This month I messed around a lot with the Niagara particle system, and I learned about a lot of things like mesh rendering, like you can see here with this fire flash effect. Just like the Blossom Sprite, the AoEs were drawn on my iPad, and I especially love the stylized Scorched Earth effect with the scrolling lava textures. I want to make sure the AoEs have a defined bound, so that's why they all have a ring on the edge of them. The sprite is still missing some effects, specifically on its ult. I want to do a sort of charge up effect before it fires a shot, but also originally it leaped into the air and shook before it fired. It turns out I didn't animate it with the root motion in mind, even though I thought I did. I don't know if anyone has any resources to point me towards for root motion, but please let me know if you do. Lastly, the Flooded Sprite, I absolutely love the way it's animated. which makes me pretty happy, considering it's one of the last ones I did, and it even has the least amount of bones. It just has such a fluid and floaty feel to it for being low poly. The obvious thing is it's missing some sounds, and the ultimate is heavily placeholder. Luckily, it works how I want, but it's missing a lot. Along with these guys, I made the final artworks for the Glade Knight and Venoming Maw. I really love how they turned out, and next month I plan on modeling and giving them idle animations. The reason I'm doing that is because next month I'm making a teaser trailer to submit for Gym Leader Ed's Monster Tamer Direct. I had mentioned it before, but it'll be huge for me to be featured in that. Speaking of being featured, in case you missed it, here's a clip of Moist Critical reacting to my game. It's pretty crazy.
There's an upcoming game called Trinity 64 getting developed by one guy, a Zelda Dark Souls type game. It looks really good. Trinity 64. Do they have like a trailer, or is it just Devlog so far?
I created a small and simple art as well. Another thing I tried to visit.
Oh, wait till there's like a trailer. Seems like a cool concept. I also really like Devlogs on those, like game production. There's Membership Gun and Kindra.
One of the things I will be focusing on for basically an entire month is the player. I want to not only touch up their model, but get rid of these placeholder mix-a-mo animations. After that, I'll be refactoring the movement and adding some additional features like blocking, parrying, and deflecting. I even started working on something called the Empowered Stance. While I'm not going to be ready to talk more about it, I will say for now it's going to just be a ranged option for the player. As you can see, it zooms in with a simple reticle and even applies the damage system. Obviously extremely placeholder looking at the moment. Which leads me to what I mentioned at the beginning of this video. During this month, I realized how important it is to prototype and build systems, to make things functional and semi-presentable but not final. As much as I hate to say it, I only feel like I just started actually working on this game. That's because the first half of this year I spent a lot of time learning, and I'm still learning. But I did things in a way that got me the immediate functionality and didn't think about making things scale or level design, or even what exactly the creatures in the game would be doing. But now I feel like I've gotten comfortable enough with Unreal and Blender that I can really tackle most of the things I want to implement while making sure I'm creating scalable systems rather than instant results. I think this is kind of an offshoot of tutorial hell, if you're familiar with that term. Basically, after I got comfortable, I thought I could do a lot of things on my own. And yeah, they would work, technically, but they weren't really made the right way. And while it is good to do things on your own and make mistakes and learn, I still also want to make sure I'm making them right. This may mean that things will be less presentable or marketable for a while, but I think it's very important that the game gets all of its mechanics working. So I'll be focusing on all of the core mechanics and only doing simple visuals. I also will only be doing the art for levels and areas whenever they have been grayboxed and playtested enough. Looking at the starting area, despite me loving the vibe, it definitely needs work. I didn't really design it, but rather made what I thought was right at the time. I hardly had any mechanics at the time, and I really should have a majority of them before I really start making levels. Anyways, I hope you can understand this approach. As a sorry, I hope you can enjoy the next Guardians I'm conceptualizing. A bear-like golem and a mysterious deer-like creature. Both will fit the green area of the game. I'm really loving working on this game, and until I get everything going, I understand if it's hard to see my vision, but I promise that I see it. I have a lot of faith. I'd like to thank my Guardian tier patrons for their support, and a big thank you to these Guide tier patrons for their support. And lastly, a massive thanks to these Trinity tier patrons, Doubt Fuller, Jesse Amaraso, and Eon. Also, here is some amazing fan art. It's super sick. Thank you all so much for watching and following along. I hope to see you next month.